meantime, let's start the steaming in the meantime. Get guys to heat up their stuff. This is ZD6YI just testing. Okay, now I'm going to try something. Every time I do this, I get my syncies out on YouTube, so let's hope. Going, so it should come up any second. Still says live stream offline, and it's not. It is streaming. This is ZD6YI. Yeah, it starts. Syncies out on YouTube, so let's hope. That seems okay. Let me just test this. 1, 2, 3. Come up any second. Still says live stream offline, and it's not. It is streaming. No, it's not too bad. So ZD6YI. Yeah, it starts. Syncies out on YouTube, so let's hope. That seems okay. Let me just test this. 1, 2, 3. A little bit out. Okay. Next Sunday I'll get it better. I hope. Right. We'll move over to the DATV Net signature tune. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone on frequency. This is Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India. I'm a little bit late. I was just adding G6 HFS to my WhatsApp setup, but yeah, I just ran out of time to add him to our group, but I will do that in due course, Brian. I just want to pull up who's all on frequency so that we can go through the net in due course. And while that's happening, I just also want to thank the Quata satellite company, dyslexic today, as well as AMSAT DL and AMSAT UK, and of course the BATC. Got a quick message from Martin, G4FKK, said he might be a bit late, but and roped him. Actually, I had to ask Martin last night if he wouldn't mind running the net today, because we had a total blackout. No electricity, and I've got a very big generator. And would you believe that also packed up? The fuel line broke off from the non-return valve that was in the block. So that was a big problem. And of course, on a Saturday, you don't get spares. So it was not fun at all, I can tell you. Anyway, that's the list that we have there. Oh yeah, and the batteries went flat because of the generator trying to start itself. So if you think Murphy's been around, by gums, he's been around these parts. Anyway, we got the electricity back on by fluke last night, so let's hope it holds, because if it doesn't hold now, I've got no recourse, it'll just die. Okay, hello Benno, Papa Alpha 3 Fox Bravo X-Ray, who will take it next? Benno, if you'll pass it to Martin, G8 Kilo Oscar Echo. Martin to Mike, Golf 0 Mike Juliet Whiskey. And then Mike to Nick, G4 IMO. And then Nick to Dave, Mike 5 Tango X-Ray Juliet. Dave to Leon, ZS1 Mike. Hello Leon, I hope you don't have load shedding this afternoon. Leon, if you'll pass it to Peter, GW7 BZY. I've made a mistake with his call sign there. And then Peter, if you'll pass it to Brian, G6 Hotel Foxtrot Sierra. And then I'll add up some more as I go through the lists. I'm sure there'll be a few more, but it's quite a nice net today. So with that, I'll pass it to Benno, if you don't mind taking it, Benno. Let me just get this thing off here for the time being so I don't come back with it. And right, Benno, to you, sir, from Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India.
Yeah, I have some audio and some video. Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for watching on the net. Thanks Gary for even with your big problems, Murphy and things for keeping running the net, and that's great, I believe. I see my camera is a little bit high, but I don't do anything to it yet. What can I add to this? I don't have any power failures. I have some weather failure, some cold, wet, cloudy weather over here in the Netherlands. Over the last few days, quite a bit of water, and yeah, I think that's typical Dutch weather for the current time of year, winter time. It's around 0 degrees, a little bit freezing on my car and on the roads, and this is how it works in the Netherlands. For my hobby point of view, I have worked quite a bit on my Langstone ride project. In the meantime, I have, let's go to the shaky cam. Let's see if I can go to the shaky cam. Yes, I can. In the meantime, I have put my little OLED screen in my Langstone system with the 2 buttons. Even made a small volume control and a 15-watt amplifier for the audio, and that works pretty nice. I can quickly go to the Langstone easily and then use my setting here to change my Arduino. I have some small problems because my Arduino keeps locking up, so I need to do some fault finding there. I think somewhere along the line my program is not completely clean. In the meantime, I worked yesterday quite hard on my power supply. I'm now capable in supporting 12 volt and 220 to it. So net control or something like 12 volt. And then it automatically switches from one to the other in order to get the right voltage to it. I made the connection between changing the bands. As you can see, it's now on 70 centimeters as it is here. If I go to, for instance, 1200, it says 23 centimeters. So I can swap around easily 30 megahertz. So it's 10 meters. So it's moving my relays to the right band depending on the setting of my Langstone. And if I then want to change, for instance, I'm not want to change or to receive on that frequency, I can go into the settings and say, for instance, I want to change my band select to 70 centimeters for TX or RX, depending on what I want. And that's what it will do in the future. So, and I can go back to the Langstone mouse and I can change the frequency, obviously, with the same buttons all over. And that's was the idea of this setup. So that's my work from this week. Let's see if I have a better camera. That was the idea this week, and I did quite a bit of wiring there, which makes a big mess in my shack, and I won't make a picture of that. So that's all what I did this week. Microphone on to the next. Martin, G8 Kilo Oscar Echo from the net control, PA3 Fox Bravo X-ray on the end. Martin, I will place a test card and take it along.
Yeah, thanks there, Benno. Very good indeed. You've obviously been doing lots of bits and pieces. I've not. I should have been. But been playing with some cameras. I've got some outside cameras, which I've been having problems when I transmit because they're the 2.4 or 5 gigs. and linking back to the router needed to be on 2.4. Although I've put 2 of the cameras now, I've hardwired them, but the third one at the end of the bungalow was just not easy to do at this stage. So my solution to that was, because they're dual mode cameras, only cheap ones, they're UC cameras, they sell on eBay for £25. That's delivered. So what I've done is I've used a Wi-Fi extender, which I've never used before, but the one I've used is that one, the BT one, which was second-hand on eBay. So it takes it from, it picks up the 5 gig and then rebroadcasts it as such. So I can then pick up on the other webcam on the corner of the house, use the 5 gig side of things, which should be that webcam. So it's still going whilst I'm transmitting, which is, I didn't think it would be at this sort of stage. I'll try and select all 4 cameras. That's the 4 cameras that I've just selected. That's what I've got. The 2 on the right are actually the one on the 2 diagonals. The one out the front, which is the car, etc., is on hardwired, and the one with the dish in is hardwired. The other 2 are all on the bird one is on 2.4, which surprised me it's not getting hit. And the other one is on 5 gigs. I've got the cats meowing in the background, as you can probably hear. So that's really what I've been up to. It's just playing around there, and also playing with a Brother label printer, which does up to 4 inches wide, which seems to work surprisingly well. So I've been playing with that. The cat's going bananas down there. And to you there, Benno, I did look at Veronica. I was quite surprised at all the old outlets, etc. it's got. And I must admit, I looked at, I did listen to the classic rock side of things for a while, which is more my sort of music, but probably not yours. Anyway, I think that's about all I've got to add at this sort of stage. But the week comes around so quickly. On the net, I'm actually not looking at the chat, am I? Which I should be doing, which is naughty. Yeah, nothing there to. Right, so I think I'll pass it around to Mike, who's bound to have been doing something, and has got probably a lot more interesting things on the bench to talk about than me and my web cameras. But I'll try and do better for next week, perhaps. So I'll stick up a test card, then pass it over to you there, Mike, and see what you've been up to. From Golf 8 Kilo Oscar Echo.
Okay, I'll turn the volume up for those who would mind smaller dishes. Thank you, Martin. What have I been up to? A few things, but this is the first week I've been back here, so I've done a few catching up activities really. I noticed the camera's not quite pointing in the right place, sorry about that. It moved a bit when I adjusted it. It's pointing in the sky a little bit. But, that's even worse, isn't it? That's now got the logo in the middle of my head. That's better. Anyway, right, yes, I'm going to watch the chat. I don't see anything there, but it's out of the corner of my eye. Let's go to the bench. So, 2 projects I was working on. One you can see is the antenna switch. It's the one on the right. It now switches the various antennas. It's just got a very simple program in it to switch one antenna, next antenna, and go round and round. It will have a detector for either CIV or band control or band voltage. Actually, maybe not band voltage, but band control. So that was the PCB I showed last week. And the other one on the other side is this dual MRF 300 controller. Board's now working. I don't know if you can see any of the numbers. I've got it connected up to a power supply, only at 24 volts at the moment. And, you know, it does the usual thing. So it's not wired up. There are no devices in there for reasons of not wishing to blow them up, but I can turn the PA on and off. I can turn the antenna one way or the other, and I can make the LEDs flash. And that's about it. So I've not really got very far in the software yet. Just going testing all the relays. That's what all the clicking was. Right. Otherwise, the other thing I've done. Let me find the rover cam and let me point it somewhere sensible before I switch to it. Oops. There we go. Olaf very kindly sent me a broken Pluto, and it seems to have had some unfortunate accident with respect to the choke in the USB power supply, which seems to have taken a few other items out as well. So I've modified it to run directly off 5 volts. At the moment it's running directly off the 5 volts from the USB. I'm not sure that's a good idea. So I might modify it again. I've put a 7805 in it and a 12 volt regulator. But the only way I can think to stop the USB feeding back 5 volts to the computer is to actually just disconnect the 5 volts in the USB connector. And if you can see here, there's a gap that is designed to take a type B USB connector. The reason there's nothing in there at the moment is because I haven't got one. I've ordered one. And here we've got a 12 volt input, and here is a replication of the 2 LEDs that you get on it. And at the other end, don't know if you can see that, there's a couple of connectors and the PTT on the phono. And this setup here, by the way, that's my 2 meter amplifier, and that's my ATU for the 10 meter setup. All the 10 meter stuff is over there at the moment, making the bench look a bit of a mess. I really ought to tidy all that lot up, but there you go. So that's what I've been up to. Let me come back to me, hopefully. Check on the chat. No, I can't see anything on the chat. So probably good to pass it round at this point and deal with any questions or anything on the next round. And hello to Matt if you're watching. Long mind. Right, Nick, G4IMO, round to you. G0MJW.
Yeah, okay, Mike. Yeah, okay. Got some audio there. Good. Camera. Where's my camera? There we go. Yeah. Afternoon to everybody from a very cold Wisbech. Very freezing here. Yeah, I've not been very active anyway, so I think it's due to the cold weather, I think, and my workshop is outside, so I don't do anything in there during the winter, so I haven't been up doing much. Anyway, yeah, last night it was -5 centigrade here last night outside, -5, and we had freezing fog. Looking out the window, which is now cleared, but the temperature outside at the moment is 0. So it's not very nice out there at all. I went outside and took a few photographs this morning with my iPhone, if I can find them on here. All the tall trees were all covered in white frost, as you can see on that picture there. Very cold out there. My receive antenna that I used to receive the aircraft on had a nice layer of ice on it, and the feed to the satellite, all the spider webs have all got frost on them. So it's yeah, it was very cold last night. Okay, where's my camera again? Right, there we go. Yes, yeah. So the only other thing I've been up to is my power dropping a little bit. Hang on, because I'm running 3/4 at the moment because I've been experimenting. That's okay. Yeah, the other thing I've been doing, this problem that people have been having with lip sync. Yeah, I've had that problem as well. I was running easy 125, and most of the time it was okay, but occasionally you switch on and it was miles out. So I thought I would look into that, and thanks very much to Martin. He put some information up on the forum about this virtual audio cable. So I thought I'd try that. So I installed that on the computer, but and followed the instructions, but I couldn't make it work. The reason I couldn't make it work is because it's not compatible with 1.25, easy 1.25, because when you go into 125 and you look on the list to add the audio cable, it's not there. It's not on the list. So I've updated now to Easy 2.08, and when you go into DATV Easy, it is there on the list, so you can add it, and it works very well once you've set it up. Having said that, my lip sync's probably terrible now. Let me just turn the volume up. Oh well, that's near enough. Yeah, say once you've set it, every time you switch on, it's always the same. So as I say, thanks to Martin there for putting that information on the forum, because I without that I wouldn't have had any idea how to set it all up. So, but that's all working. So I was wondering, Gary, there's still a lip sync problem, isn't there, on YouTube? I often watch the replay on that. I wonder if you can incorporate this virtual audio cable somehow into that. I don't know. I've never uploaded anything to YouTube, so I don't know. But I wonder if that would solve your lip sync problems. Right, as I say, I haven't been working on anything here. It's been far too cold, so that's about it from me. Right, so I put that round to Dave, I think, M5TXJ, to take round to you, G4IMO.
Oh, looks like I've got a signal. Mute audio so I don't confuse myself. And here we go. Hopefully my lip sync isn't too bad. I've had a Windows update which has thrown it miles off. I've been adjusting, but I don't think I've got it exactly right. Yeah. Wi-Fi, Martin. My shack is just on the edge of Wi-Fi reception, so I've run a network cable in, and I've got a network switch on the wall. So that's sorted a lot of my problems with bad connections and things. And I'm also looking at converting my ports down, which is what I've been up to this week, making a start on that and modifying it for better integration with the Langstone. I'll show some pictures in a moment of what I've been up to. But I was talking to Benno last week, and he put me onto the idea of running the Pluto on the network, so the ports down Langstone can talk to it, and also the PC for DATV Easy. Yeah, so this is what I've been up to. Just a quick slideshow. That is what took me off air a fortnight ago, when I disappeared. All of a sudden, you can see there the switch, and I've restored a TV, real modern stuff. It's a Thorn 1500. That's the inside of my ports down, with a first floor added, and that's the inside of my ride. It likes to gather dust as it's next to the log burner, so I'll give that a clean out. And yeah, that is the front of my ports down with my C920 sat on it. So yeah, it's not the prettiest beast, but it seems to work. I've also been restoring something else. Hopefully this will work. I'm not very good on OBS yet, but hopefully a little video will play. And I restored this 1953 Philips Filetta. Right, what else? Oh, that PA controller looks very good, Mike. I'm currently building the G4WIM PA controller for my QO-100 amp. And I'm also looking at making some shelf space. I'm very limited on shelf space in front of me in here. And above my ports down there's an ICOM 471 and a 271 for 2 and 70. And there's also an IC735 which has a 4-meter transverter. So I reckon I can move those to make space for amps and things, and use the Langstone for those bands. So that's my plan anyway. Your lip sync was spot on, Nick. Absolutely. I hope mine's somewhere, like I say, I hope mine's somewhere near. I'm using the virtual audio cable with Freestream Coder 2.9. And once I get a network adapter, USB network adapter, to try and get the Pluto onto the network, hopefully I'll be using DATV Easy and H.265, and I'll have to have a play at 3/4 too. So that's what's going on here. Oh, and like everyone else, I've got one of these, so I've been playing with that. I haven't got a 3D printer, so I haven't got a nice pretty case for it, but I've been playing with it all the same. Right, it's round to Leon, and see what Leon's been up to. Perhaps some more interesting chemistry equipment. So Zulu Sierra 1, Mike. This is Mike 5 Tango X-Ray Juliet and the Worldwide Net.
Okay, thanks, Dave. M5 TXJ in the net from ZS1 Mike returning from a very, very, very sweating hot Worcester. Oh man. Who's it? Nick, can you send us a little bit of that ice that you've got there. Oh, it is really, really, really hot here. What have I been up to? Oh my word. I was called early this morning down to the airfield. They have a big international gliding competition here at the moment. It's been going on for about a month or more than a month, and I think it runs until the end of February. At first it was a whole lot of German guys and Swiss guys, but now there's a lot of Americans as well. Anyway, one of the local guys, well, he's actually a Swiss guy, but he's local. Rudy Hildbrunner, he phoned me, and problems. He wants to fly and everything is dead. So I dashed down there, and while I'm there, I also swapped his VHF radio, because his one was faulty, and I gave him one of mine. We fitted one of my radios in his aircraft and in the motorized glider. And I've repaired his one, so while we were at it, I swapped it back. Where's my one here? This is my one that I've taken out of his plane now. So his one is identical. It's a normal Dittel. His one had a very hard to find problem. It was inside the VCO of the synthesizer. It's a sealed little soldered closed metal box. Inside there was an electrolytic cap that just went short. Now electrolytic caps don't normally go short, they go open, they go high. The tantalums go short, but it was definitely not a tantalum. Anyway, it took me a while to find out what was wrong, because the control voltage was there, but not the actual VCO supply voltage. It was being pulled down by this thing, so I had to unsolder the little cover and say, yeah, okay, there you are, right, replaced it. Okay, so anyway, so that was the start of the day. It is so hot, I don't want to do much, but I've got other things to do. I'm busy designing a new, slightly more intelligent charger for my UPS batteries and so on. That'll, when the power comes on, it'll boost it and stay there until the current is dropped to a specific level, a settable level, and then it'll go down to the float level, which will be just above the nominal voltage, and it should keep it there. Because my first set of 100 amp hour gel batteries lasted not even 3 months. So the guy gave me a new set. So there they are. I must still go and put them in the outside room in the workshop where the actual UPS for that is. But I'm using them to design the charger around. Okay. Benno, lovely signal from you. Nice video, nice audio, and of course Gary, well, no comment. It's always perfect. And I'm glad you've got power. Yeah, I don't know when we've had load shedding this morning. We've had load shedding in the early afternoon. So it should only be tonight again, I think. Right. Oh, my power's a bit low. I think I must just, before it can't read me, just bring it up a trifle. Right, Martin with the 4 cameras, that works fine. You can't see the difference between the 5.8 and the Wi-Fi and the wired cameras. It looks pretty good. And Mike, your RF switch and stuff. I don't know how many things you want to switch with that thing. Good heavens! And the Pluto, yeah. Yes, I don't know what's the best supply to run those on. They've got little switching thingies in there. But yes, running it straight off the USB, I don't know. Well, as long as it's happy. Okay, Nick's got the nice ice pictures. So okay, Gary, the list says Peter is GWTBZ1. I'm sure that's a fault. I left a gap there, so when he comes on now, I'll write it in. I think it's probably GW2BZY or GW4BZY. I'm not sure, but I'll write it in there. And Brian is not on the list, so I couldn't write his number in. So, Peter, over to you. GW BZY for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester. Very hot.
Okay, quickly. Okay, quickly. Okay, quickly. Cut the sound on the monitor. Good afternoon, everybody. This is GW Sam BZY. Great stuff. Good to be on. What have I been doing? Well, not a lot really. I've been to work mostly, and I've also been playing the saxophone and giving it a bit of practice. You can see that's a Selma Paris. That's a nice saxophone. That very nice saxophone. So I've been playing the saxophone, getting back into it, which is great. So that's the music sheet. I think you see behind me. Turn the YouTube off as well, because that's going on in the background and probably feeding around. What have I done television wise? Well, I gave OBS a go. I'm glad to see Martin on, because I'll have a chat with him about it at some point. I gave I've also had to play my camera. I've turned the colour up in the dark areas and added some sharpening. I think the people who owned it before me, they like the film look, which seems to be rather sort of flat and without sharpness, without punch, should I say. And they try and make it look like a DSLR, which I don't quite understand. But there we are. I have turned the sharpness up and had a little tweak about. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully the audio's okay. I said my OBS experience, version 29. Well, it wasn't very good. I think it was robbing the colour from the picture. Video quality was down, colour-wise anyway. And I had about 15 to 20 seconds audio delay, which was a lot. And if I was to add video delay, I had about 600 megabytes of video buffered. And then there still was a delay. So, his OBS is I don't know, description. Well, I've not had any success with it, and I'm not overly impressed with it. I think because it does. I think a lot of the stations that are on would look a lot better with it. They were using another program, as it kind of bleaches out your colour and your skin textures, and it doesn't look right. Put it that way. Although I think if you use the sharpening control, it actually does sharpen it very nicely. It's a pity that sharpening control isn't in vMix, but and it's got a very nice downsizer, so you can enhance it rather than just dropping lines. It actually enhances it, which is quite good as well. But overall, the sound issues and the poor video quality, I thought, I will give it another go. I'll talk to Martin if I get a chance afterwards and see whether or not I can do something a bit better with it. But the massive audio delay was ridiculous. Between 15 and 20 seconds. Basically, you had to sit there waiting to hear your audio come back to you. Maybe not. I maybe exaggerate a little bit. Maybe it was only 10 or 15 seconds. No, it was longer than that. But there we are. I seem to have frozen on the stream. I think I've actually killed it on YouTube. But yeah. So I've had to play. Since there's quite a bit of competition now with the video quality, I thought Leon was Gary and Leon very good. Very good image. I like your background, Gary. Certainly got a bit of colour going there. Martin, your webcams, yeah. That's good. I mean, I fancy a few webcams myself, but
I don't know. I mean, do I want to see my garden? Not really. I mean, do we have in Wales here? We don't really have marauders and bandits in your gardens and things. It's just, it's a lot more peaceful than that. Yeah, Mike, very impressive as with your goings on there as usual. IMO, very cold. Yeah, I like the LMB cover. Nick, I wonder what that is. What fitted just perfectly over? Did you something that you vacuum formed, or was that some article that fitted perfectly over the end? I'm just wondering what that was. So if you when you come next time, if you can remember, and unless it was made specifically, that would be quite useful to know. Because I have a sandwich bag at the moment, a freezer sandwich bag, or a freezer bag, should I say, over mine, and it was filling water until I made a hole in it, so it's not the best. And Gary, your power problems there, yeah. We were supposedly, according to some, and on the news, and other drama propagandists, like the weather forecast, that we were all going to have blackouts all winter and it was going to be the end of the world. But, it hasn't happened. Not yet, anyway. Unusual, that, really, for British news and the BBC to be putting extra drama. The only drama we get on British television now is in the news and the weather forecast. Weather forecast especially. The rest of the telly is absolute rubbish. Yeah. I haven't seen Brian, so looking forward to see HFS. That'll be interesting. I think I got everybody else. Benno, nice job with that work you've done there. There's always something impressive for what you're getting up to. I've been playing my saxophone. That's about as much, and having a fiddle with my camera in its extensive menu system. And I turned the skin tone a bit softer as well. So I've discovered how to work the skin detection on this Sony. So there we are. That's about it. I'll come on again, I expect, for a little bit more of a ramble, and hand it back. I don't know whose turn it is. Oh yes, I do. It's G6HFS Brian, for the first time, so I'll be pleased to see you there, from GW7BZY. I'll just go back to test guard and switch off.
Okay, I got a message from Brian saying he's not 100% ready yet this week. So he will be on shortly, let's hope. And I've got a number of guys on YouTube. Let me just go through that list. We want to welcome Albert as usual. Albert, you say the lip sync is good on YouTube. Thank you. Yeah, I battled with that one. But anyway, it's working now, so that's the main thing. And hello to Brenda, ZD6 Yankee Lima Bravo. She says she likes this background. By the way, this background has got a bit of a history. I asked my sister, who makes all sorts of clothing and whatever as a hobby, that I'm looking for a little bit of color. So she brings me, I think it's a piece of curtain, about a square meter of cloth. She says, here, try this out. So I have, and I'm just looking at my depth of field. If I go back, you can see it focuses at the back. If I bump it, you'll see it starts to float around. So it's not you nor the camera stand. It's just a sheet hanging there. And then, of course, if I come right up, then you'll see it goes out of focus. So the depth of field is quite good on this camera. And it seems to be working out okay. Then we want to welcome Stuart, Zulu Romeo 6 Whiskey Tango. Hello, Stuart. He's watching us on YouTube as well. He came onto DATV, onto the narrowband, and on his own bat, got everything sorted himself. Of course, it goes without saying that it helps if you are a specialist in software. So it was no issue for him to come on, and we did a test this morning, and all good. He says the next step, of course, once he's got the narrowband under control, will be to come and visit us on wideband. And then Frank, G8PQH, is also watching. Hello, Frank. Nice to have you watching there. But you must come and join us sometime. It's nice to have more people. And of course, Gunther, also a guy that watches us quite a lot, DD8 Golf Whiskey. Hello, Gunther, and welcome aboard. All right, Benno, as per usual, good projects from your side, no issues. And always interesting. You keep the net going, as does our dear friend Mike, always busy with something. Yes, Mike, yeah, I think that switching is going to be something nice. And as Leon says, what else do you want to switch? But it looks good indeed. And Martin, all the cameras working perfectly. There's no problem. It's sometimes nice to have a camera watching the garden and so on. I had a big lightning strike once and threw out my cameras. I've got PTZ cameras all over, because I've got a big garden, so I'll have to replace them at some other stage. My wife's on to me to do that for the security point of view. But then we can take nice close-ups of, I've got 2 buck over here, a little springbuck, came here on its own in November, and about 9-10 years ago, I had a blessbook, they call it a blessbook. It arrived here. Must have swum across the river and landed here, and this is paradise because nobody bothers it, and it's got a lot of grazing. It's all nicely trimmed lawn, so it's safe and it has a ball. So the other day this other buck came. Now I see they're not friendly, but they stick together with about a distance of about 50 meters, 25 meters. They never really get close, but when the one sleeps, the other one does, and when the one runs, the other one runs. So there's a bit of a rapport starting to develop, but it's taking quite a while. I thought it would be much quicker. Anyway, yeah, I just thought I'll add some color to the background. I don't know if I'm overly happy with it. It's just, I think, what is it? I don't know, some plant. Brenda said she likes the, what the hell? Protea background. There we go. It shows you what I know about South African culture. Anyway, yeah, I've been playing around also with the audio, so I would like a report on that if you can. I've reduced video quality slightly, but increased audio quality. I don't know, just playing around. That's the whole idea of the hobby, isn't it? Now, let's just see who next to take it. I just want to see if anyone else has come up on the list here. No, and I think I had Peter right as Golf Whiskey 7, BZY. It looks like it's right, and that is his call sign. And let me just see. Okay, good. Frank said he'll come up and join us in due course. Not today. If you want to, Frank, if you want to come up now, just pop a note on the QO-100 wideband spectrum monitor, and we'll, of course, pull you in. Not a problem. But in the meantime, I'll go down the list again. So, Benno, to you, and it follows through from Zulu Sierra 6, Yankee India. Now, how do I switch this bloody thing off now?
Whoops! Somewhere along the line, my easy went down, went to 0. Too much screens on my side open as well. Great, Gary. Your audio is perfect, no problem, as always. But well, I'm quite happy as it works, because if I start with a crappy cam, something of 25 euros or something, I don't expect high quality image. So, and even my lighting, I know I should have more light on the front to get better depth, but with the low lighting I am using, I'm quite happy with my image as it is. And obviously there is room for improvement, especially I should wear something with more color next to my gray beard. that would be a better image. At least there is some color in the background of my planes, but that's a lot of white as well. Well, anyway, fun. Peter, obviously looking from a camera expert perspective, it's all rubbish we use for transmission. Using OBS with that is just a logic next step. Hi. I know vMix is a great piece of software. I have played in the early days with vMix, but I found it was quite limited because you need to pay a lot of money to get a yearly usage fee for that nice piece of software. And as long as my transmissions don't bring me money, I don't like to pay money for using this kind of software. I'm using, for instance, I'm using also ChromaCam as overlay sometimes, and I've paid a few euros for that. That's not a big problem if you have a one-off. But things like vMix, what is it, 200, 300, 400 euros for just some of the possibilities of which are standard in OBS. Well, that's another idea, and that's not my ball game. I like too much playing around with other things as well. OBS doing great for me, and I don't have any delay in my audio as far as I can tell. It's doing about 2 seconds. I can do a round clock over the satellite within 3 seconds, and that's not bad if you think about what's going all through using the various settings. But then again, if you want better quality, you have to pay more money. That's just normal, I would say. But I first need to start with one of those big cameras, and not of this 25 euro. What is it? I think it's just HD. It's not even UHD or something. It's just something like 1080 and 15 frames per second or something. Okay, well, that's all. What can I add? Why updating Nick to 208? As long as 212 is available on the Viva DATV site. Why still working on 208? You're updating from very old to a little bit less old, but on the other hand, 208 still works, and works pretty nice. 212 already using the new FFmpeg pack, of which Nigel had a small problem with, as long as along with a lot of others, including myself, having the right NVIDIA driver, which you need for the 212. I'm still using OBS 27-ish, as I cannot get on my PC somehow the virtual cam working again to the DATV Easy on the 29. I'm not sure why. In Zoom I can get the virtual cam, but in DATV Easy it won't accept. So somewhere along the line my PC, my Windows 11 is not working out. I've played quite a bit on that, but I'm not sure what is going on. On my laptop it's about 5 minutes work, and then it worked without any problems. So, well, that's all of updating and playing along. At least I'm playing with a little bit simpler things as I thought. the latest thing what I took my mind about was I wanted to connect 12 volt and 230 volt to my my box, and obviously I don't want some switch outside being able to manage that. So in the end I used 2 relays and some detection and a very small power supply in order to set the one or the other. I can connect both, and then it will connect the 230 volt. And if I disconnect the 230 volt, it will work on 12 volt. And that's the base of which I will get this whole thing working in order to be have it versatile, working on more possibilities. And next I'm going to do some band switching as well. I showed you already last week. I still have this in my hands. And first of all I need to mechanical put it together somehow to connect it somewhere in the line, in the box, and then it will be connected and it will be driven along, but it first needs some mechanical part, and that's always the biggest problem, to get it a decent mount. So I now need some brackets, get myself some brackets to mount those things in the box, and then I will be able to use up to 10 different outputs to 10 different circuits, I would say, amplifiers, inputs, outputs, preamps, filters, things like that, for each band from 10 meters up to 3 centimeters. You can imagine how much that is for at least the ham bands, I would say. I'm still working out if I want one general coverage without any filtering. But I think why? Because I know in the end I always need some kind of filtering, at least for receiving, to get a decent signal. But I also got some ideas that can be added to a port zone already. So I have to talk to Dave about that, because I know he was looking for new ideas, and I have a bunch already, which I thought about on this project. Would be handy if port zone would do this or would do that. Well, that's beyond the net. Obviously I know virtual cam doesn't work, Mike. I need the virtual cam original in, and if I install all the virtual cam bit and then install 29, then I can use the virtual cam original from the OBS into the zoom. It will almost automatically detect it, but I cannot get it into DATV Easy. DATV Easy doesn't recognize it, so it doesn't work at all. That is on my PC. On my PC, I'm a running PC, on my big PC, and on my notebook I can do it in 5 minutes. It's not a problem at all. Just install OBS 29, start up the virtual cam original in it, use Droid Cam or virtual audio cable plug-in, and then use the DATV Easy from my laptop. That's not a problem at all. So I know how it works. It simply doesn't work on my PC, hi. And that's a Windows thing, I believe. Well, anyway, passing on the microphone, mumbling on. Martin, frequency for all's yours. From Papa Alpha number 3, Foxtrot Bravo X-Ray. Bye-bye, and have a good week.
Right, let's see whether we've got it, which I think we have. Right, had a glitch in the power supply, so mains. I had to reboot a few things, but I think we've come back to life. What was I going to comment on? Yeah, VB audio cable. I think it's the best thing, certainly I've done in addition. It works well on 27, which is where I first experimented with it. Just disabled the virtual audio, not the virtual audio, the virtual camera from auto starting, and then just select your virtual cam, and away you go. Having installed it and obviously done the little mods on the mixer side of things, but no, I think it's great. Pluto and network. I never had a lot of success there. Used to have the Pluto out in the garage, and it caused me nothing but problems, I will admit. Since then, it's now sitting just underneath the monitor. It's USB into the main PC. Providing the main PC is running, then I can access it on the network anyway. That must be the way I run things, and it's not given me any problems since. And to them, Mike, well, if you're an expert on Plutos, you know, there's my dead Pluto. Well, I say it's dead, it's not dead. I did try and change the USB chip in it, and I did the best job I could, but it didn't cure the problem. There's a little diode that's missing, which is why there's one hanging on the top. But it sits there, and the two lights are flashing as they are, because it's originally was in a dead sort of state, but it's been reloaded with the firmware. So the firmware is on it by the is it the Z tag or whatever it is connector, which is now on there. But, that's going to go nowhere unless somebody wants to have a go at it. So if you wanted to have a go at it, play with it, do something with it. Otherwise, it'll end up finding its way to the bin, because my eyes just aren't good enough to do anything with it. Really, which is a shame. It's sort of working, but it isn't working. But anyway, don't expect you to. But it just, I don't know. I just don't like throwing things away. Actually, it focuses quite well on that camera, doesn't it? I'm quite surprised. But almost. Yeah, I did attempt to put the original chip back in. In fact, I did put the original chip back in, because the only ones that I got, I wondered whether in fact they weren't the right ones, whether they got the markings on that were correct, whether in fact they weren't. I've got one that I've not used at all yet, or attempted to put in, but I don't really have the. So I must admit, I did purchase another one, so that sits in the cupboard, and it'll slowly work its way to the bin at this rate. Because it's beyond me. What else? OBS 29, I think that's great. Usually the RFC choke that fails. It could be. Yeah, I wish I'd just burnt it to you initially. I did anyway. Yeah, I'll see if I can whether I get to Cat 23, I don't know, but it's yeah, it's beyond me. Bring back a 1500 series TV, or even a 1400, or even the old 950s that used to work on, or the 2000 colour sets. But yeah, the 1500, know it well. Remember when it first came out, such like. But idiot, I think, is the word I'd use. Brave isn't at all it. Yeah. I don't think they're shorting out. Nothing changed or seemed to change, but it was just I'd come to the end of the road sort of thing. But anyway, I don't think I've got good eyesight and a steady hand. Yeah, well, it's fine. When you get to my age, I'm probably about the oldest on the net, I think. Born in 1950, just so people couldn't do their own calculations. The eyes just aren't as good, and the brain cell doesn't work as quick. And I think when I was a bit younger, I'd dive into all sorts of things, and I was cut your teeth on 1500s. Yeah, I remember the 1400 with all the hum problems and all the little mods and things you had to do. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about 16th century day. It's like all the test card music. It was the Shadows that I remember. We used to wind up all the TVs down in what was the new Czech department in those days. Anyway, that's enough reminiscence of old TV days. They were good fun. Right. It's onto you, the mic, isn't it? It feels like that, yeah. Elizabethan, yeah. Yeah, my first step was a Pie Continental. The parents had when we lived at Lancing in Sussex. Dad brought it home. VT4s were also I worked on, and some protection TVs, etc. Anyway, that's enough on that. Right, round to you then, Mike. You can reminisce or whatever on TVs. At 7.3 all good to be on the net again. I've probably missed talking about something, but got sort of sidetracked on the Plutos and TVs. I think I prefer the TVs. 1500 certainly it is something my eyes would be okay on. Right, test card, and it's yours, Dave.
Right, thanks Martin. Someone keeps setting off gun pellets outside. It's a bit distracting. It's to scare away the birds in the field. And every so often you hear this bang and wonder what it is. Anyway, my first TV was indeed an Elizabethan, but they probably meant Elizabeth II. It was a brand in the 70s. It was black and white portable. I remember I got to use it. But that was a long time ago, when we had colour sets, when colour came to Cumbria. Ooh, what happened there? When we had colour sets, we hired them or rented them from Radio Rentals for the first few years because they were notoriously unreliable. I remember the engineer coming to fix it several times and it being absolutely stuffed full of valves mostly and various other parts. So it was they were unreliable things, and they weren't very big either. In fact, we've got a TV cabinet at home which was designed for large TVs, but you try and put a modern TV in it and there's no way it'll fit. Right, what else? Lots of interesting discussions, and the weather here, incidentally, it's cold, but not as cold as it was previously. So it's getting warmer, I think, for the next week. That probably means it's going to rain. On OBS, there are some settings which you need to get right around colour model that it's capturing at, and it sort of needs to match, and also the ones that the camera's outputting need to match, and the canvas needs to be the right setting. And if you get those wrong, then it can make a mess with the conversion. But you shouldn't get 20 seconds audio delay. I don't. It's just a few milliseconds. The delay in my uplinking is all due to the FFmpeg encoding. So if I'm just going straight to VLC as without much encoding at a high rate, it's very quick indeed. It's only when you're doing low rates that you have big buffers to overcome the picture variation, so you don't get that sort of funny pixelation stuff that you get otherwise. but the penalty is latency. So good quality picture, poor latency. Who's next? Nick, I think. So round to you, Nick. Oh, I was going to say I'm not going to be on next week because I'm probably going to be travelling on Sunday, and I won't make the net. So apologies for that, and catch you all in a couple of weeks' time probably. So with that, Nick, G4IMO, over to you. G0MJW.
Yeah, okay, Mike. Yeah, okay. My audio there. Yeah, all copied. Very good. Yeah, okay, on OBS and vMix. I've never used vMix. Because I think you have to pay for that. So that's something that I try to avoid. So, but I don't have any trouble at all with OBS. I use it in the mode that if you go, you can go and select studio mode, and you get two pictures left and right. So one is what you're actually transmitting and the other one is what you're going to send next. But I tend not to use that because I've watched quite a few people using that, and they haven't switched to the next picture, so they think they're transmitting and they're not. So I just use it with just one picture on the screen, so I know what I'm seeing there is what I'm actually transmitting. So that's what I use, but I've not had any trouble with OBS. As far as Easy 2.08, yes, I know it's very old. When I had 125, I saw that 208 was available, and I immediately downloaded it to my computer. But since then, there's been quite a few other updates for that, and I think now, as you say, it's 2.12. But I just had it on the computer, so I thought I would use it. So, but I tend to only update my things on the computer if I find there's a specific reason for them. You know, if something's not working, or as in the case of the lip sync, I've now updated to 208. But as you say, I should have gone to 212, but that could have caused me a lot more problems. So I'll stick with what I have, I think, as it's working. Keep it nice and simple. What else was there? And I'm still running OBS version 27.2.2. So, but you know, it works fine. So there's no reason for me to change it. So if I find a function isn't working anymore, then that's the time to change it, update it. So anyway, Dave on the vintage radio there. That's very nice, very good. I've got a few vintage radios here. Some of them are valve and some of them are transistor. I've got a Hacker. They used to produce some very good radios, and they got nice big speakers in them. A Hacker Sovereign, that is, belonged to my father. Works very well. But, yeah, I've got a few valve radios as well, Echo radios and things. My father used to work for Echo in Southend, so a long time ago that was. Yeah, Leon, okay, on the heat wave out there. Well, I wish it was hot here. In the winter here, normally, but before COVID, we used to escape from the UK. We used to fly down to the Philippines or go out to Singapore for a few months. But since the COVID, we haven't been back to the Philippines for nearly 5 years now. We're thinking of going back this year. Not in our winter though, in the summer, probably June, July, which I haven't visited at that time, but it can be very hot there, and that is their rainy season as well. So, but the reason we're going out there is it's our 10-year wedding anniversary. So we're hoping to go out there this year anyway. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. And that's about it. Oh, okay. On the TVs, yeah, colour. When I was a little teenager, we had a black and white television. It only had one channel, and that was BBC One, which I think came on in the evenings at about 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. I think came on with a test card, and then you start the evening programs. And then when I worked for Marconi's, sort of 60, I don't know, 67, 60, yeah, from 67 onwards, there was a chap there in the test department where I was, and his name was Peter Smolka, and he was a Polish chap. He was very clever, and he designed a simple PAL decoder, and everyone in the workshop was all secretly constructing these simple PAL to decoders in their lunch hour, because the cost of a colour television in those days was about £400, or a lot of money. So people were making their own televisions. So I had this colour television that I made with a simple PAL decoder in it. It worked very well actually. The colour was very good. You had to set the phase control pretty accurately, but it worked very well. Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, Gary, you mentioned you wanted people to comment on your lip sync. Yeah, if I was being super critical, I would say it's a few hundred milliseconds off. It's probably about 100 or 150 milliseconds off, but it was pretty good, Gary. So that's fine, no problems. Right, that's about it, I think. Yep, that's it for me. So I'm going to say cheerio to everybody. I'm going to go and have some lunch now. I think Vicky's cooking some roast chicken, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'll say cheerio and pass it round to Dave, M5TXJ to take G4IMO.
G4IMO, M5TXJ. You may get used to the call sign, Nick. Right, where do I start? Yeah, those who have seen me before know I've got a very high-tech method of knowing what I'm going to be doing, writing on the worktop. As you can see, I've had to spread to the side because I've run out of space. So, yeah, where do we start? Leon. We'll start with Leon. Gliding. I love gliding. I'm not very good and haven't been for a couple of years. I'm not solo, but I've spent many hours as P2 in control, twin steer, K13, K21, and my favourite T21. I've actually done it 2-hour cross country in a T21, which was out of this world. I did get caught under a very big black cloud, and I was nose down at VNE, and I was still going up at 7 knots. It was an incredible experience. So in the end I had to tip it onto the wingtip and spiral down to get out of the immense thermal that I'd got into. Right, that's one thing down. Yeah, just a comment. The chat. I find the chat invaluable. I keep looking at it to see if people saying I've lost my audio or lip syncs out or anything, but there are some stations who never look, and they're not doing themselves any favours. you know, they could be transmitting a blank screen or whatever, and people are trying to help, but it's not getting through. Gary, love the curtain, absolutely love that. Really nice colours, and yeah, great. And speaking of colours, Peter, OBS, you select your source, camera, whatever, and you go to filters and you can alter the colour balance and everything else. Everything's there in the filters. I know my camera's not the best, it's only a C920, but I'm not in a game of one-upmanship or anything like that. I'm one of these people, if it works, it's good enough. I do try to improve things a bit, like I'm hoping to go to H.265 before too long, but I'm very much a KISS man. Keep it simple, stupid. And that seems to work, well, mostly for me anyway. And like they say, you cut your cloth to suit your coat, whatever. Yes, where do we go? Radios. Yeah, I've got quite a selection of Roberts radios, not Hackers. Roberts because they were cheap to buy on eBay. I've also got, as well as the Filetta, a 1934 Stella in a maroon or purple Bakelite case that I restored a few years ago. I really like that. TVs. Yeah, I started 1976. I got into the trade. I hadn't left school, and I got a part-time job in a TV shop. So yeah, I was fixing things like 1400s, 1500s, the BRC the rank equivalents, and then moved on to the Pi and Philips hybrid colour TVs before G8s, G11s, and I finished that job in '98. I was a video engineer towards the end, fixing video recorders, and video recorders were getting down to £25, so people weren't having them repaired, and I could see the end of TV servicing, so I got out, jumped ship. But yeah, I enjoyed that trade. Yeah. Oh, I've got to thank Martin for setting me straight with OBS 29 and the BB audio cable. Yeah, it's possibly the reply to me that Nick saw. Benno, similar switching thing going on here. I've been looking at designing a circuit board for a CD4028 BCD2 decimal to hook onto the band switching lines in the ports down to switch PAs and, well, not PAs, drivers and preamps. So that's something I'm ongoing with. Sorry, I'm looking at my cribs on the desktop. Cat23, yes, hope to see you there, Martin. I'm definitely looking forward to going. I've enjoyed the last two. Oh yeah, I don't know if anyone spotted Tech Minds on YouTube. He did a bit a while ago that got quite well publicised on building a mini tuner. Well, I spotted yesterday that he's got a amp from Jim G7NTG, so hopefully he's going to be joining us on DATV shortly. That's M0DQW. And let's see, yep, Mike, congratulations on the QSO with Rob, 313 kilometres on 2 metres. That was really good going. Very impressive. I will be missing for the next 2 Sundays. Next Sunday I'm at work, and the Sunday after I'll be up at Dundee working in the bunker up there. And this coming week I will also be missing Tuesday and Thursday on the nets. Tuesday I'm being taken out for a surprise Indian by the family because it's my birthday on Thursday, and Thursday I think the wife's taking me out, so it looks like I'll be missing, although there is a slim possibility I'll be on Thursday, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Right, I think I've waffled on far too long. I think I've covered everything on my list. And yeah, round to Leon. ZS1 Mike 5 Tango X-Ray Juliet.
I must have missed the spot when I clicked on switch on. Okay, thanks Dave. M5 TXJ in the group, ZS1 Mike returning for a final. I want to get out of here. It's just too hot. Okay, Gary, yes, I also love your backdrop there. It's nice. It really proves the color capability of your camera. No red bleeding or anything. Nice. Yes, your lip sync is out. It's out by about a word, I'd say. So I don't know why yours keeps on changing. Well, you have the computer on the internet. My transmit computer, which is this very high performance one, never gets onto the internet. It doesn't get updated, upgraded, up anything. It stays as it is and it does the job. As for watching the internet thing, I don't, because I use two computers. I monitor myself. There's my receiver. I can see I'm going wild there. And if I switch on the audio, there's my receiver. So I can check my audio and I can check my video. I can see when I've frozen or anything. It's handy, but it's against my principles, because we're supposed to stand on our own legs and not run the internet. Then we may as well be on Skype. So that's my main thing. I'll go onto the chat if I want to ask somebody something off air or so. Yeah, that's a different story. Okay, Peter, you say you're having hassles with OBS and that it's not nice. I'm delighted with OBS. I don't have any sound sync problems. I run most of the settings absolutely neutral. Can't say that my color is perfect. I've never really bothered to try and really fine tune it, because to me it's fine. There it is on OBS. There it's on the camera's monitor, and on the camera's monitor the brightness is a little bit higher. On OBS and on the satellite reception, those two are identical. There's no change. So I'm looking at the input into OBS and the output from the satellite. So I'm happy. Okay, Benno, before I forget. You're right, you don't need a fancy camera, but what I have discovered after having done a lot of experimenting, light. If your camera is not very sensitive, it tends to generate a lot of video noise, and that upsets. It doesn't upset OBS. OBS can read the noise, but the encoder, and that causes tiling, and you have an enormous amount of tiling in your video, Benno. I mean, you must see it if you look at your own off-air picture. And I'm pretty sure if you have some decent lighting on you, that tiling will vanish. I've done some experiments. It's daytime now. On this side, I have the windows right next to me, so on this side I've got a lot of light. It's not direct sunlight, it's skylight, but it's bright. I've only got one LED panel on that side, just filling in on this side. You can see the shadow there. But at night, when I have just the fluorescent light up there, I can see in OBS, I can see the fine noise, but the tiling is terrible on my picture then. And then I switch on both LED panels. They 1 foot square flat LED panel lights, and it just vanishes. The noise vanishes and the tiling vanishes. So the noise keeps it so busy. It takes up so much bandwidth. So you can improve your picture tremendously, Benno, by just adding a bit of light, I think. That's all from me. Everybody else's stuff is working fine. The ice pictures, yeah. Yes. So that's about it from me. Thanks for listening to me. I'll give it to Peter, and Peter, I'll listen to you again for this over. But then I'm not coming back. I say 73s, but I'll be in the listening mode, having something cool to drink, and then also have a bit of lunch, I think. So, Golf Whiskey 7 BZY for the group from ZS1 Mike, saying cheerio, but listening.
Okay on everything there. Yes. Listen to Mike there. I think Mike have a point there, Mike. I think some of the difficulty I have with OBS is the fact that I'm using NVIDIA AI noise reduction and audio processing, and it comes from a USB dongle, USB 3 video capture from HDMI. I know Gary's using SDI capture or HDMI. I don't know how he's getting the video in, but it's a PCI capture card, PCIe I should imagine. The Blackmagic I think is 4K, whereas mine is HD, and that produces a better picture. And of course I get 4 channels from the camera. I've got to have a picture of my camera because it's my favourite toy. Hold on. There we go. So what comes in is quite good. Crap in, crap out. What comes into the computer is pretty good. Although I have to run the camera at 30 hertz or 60 hertz because NVIDIA NVIDIA broadcast software only accepts, or seems to only accept, 60 hertz because the Magewell dongle, I've got no way of controlling it. If I use the capture card, then I can. If I use my old PC, it will control it, but of course it won't work. Anyway, so I think that's where the problem lies. 444 is what I set the OBS to, and it looks okay. It just seems to bleach out suck the color out of the image, and it doesn't look very right. You get little bits of burnout, and I say it's very pallid looking. Not terrible, but it's not quite the same as vMix. Now, vMix is not overly expensive. I don't think you only get 3 inputs on it, but $60. You don't need to pay monthly. I paid $160 and that's it. You're with it. Yeah, quite well. Yes, 10-bit color. I've got 10-bit color coming from the camera, and it's going into NVIDIA to who knows what bit color, and then maybe going back to 10-bit color again or not. I don't know. Whereas on vMix, you can choose the color you want, more or less, because I've got NVIDIA in between. The only thing I could do maybe is feed the OBS into NVIDIA broadcast rather than the other way around. I don't know. Put it in between and fire into vMix. But I mean, I haven't got a need for OBS, to be honest with you. 60 quid. I paid it some years ago, and it does everything I need. I have 3 inputs, unless you want clutter on your screen, which just robs your data rate. The bit I like about NVIDIA broadcast, why I keep it going, despite these little wrinkles, is that it does reduce your video noise greatly. You can see it on the waveform monitor. you know, in and out. And even though the camera has something like 60 dB signal to noise, which is probably better than most domestic cameras, you can still see the noise and you can still see it gone when you switch it in. And of course it's great for sound because it cuts out a vast amount of background noise and echoing and just general ruminance. Reason for use. vMix seems to work fine. I can have 32-bit, it comes into vMix, and then it goes to the compressor to DATV Easy, which seems to do a pretty good job without very much audio problems, whereas I did have a vast amount of audio problems. I haven't tried it without NVIDIA Broadcaster, but I'm not going to really. But there we are. That's all I'm going to say about that. It was just too much of a ramble as it is. TVs, yeah. I think the first colour set that I watched, apart from my aunt and uncle in Birmingham, Uncle Joe used to run Rover cars or something. Back in the day, he had a colour TV when they first came out, but we didn't. We were poor relatives in Wales, sent to Wales, I like to say. Black sheep of the family, I suppose. And the Thorn, I think it was the Thorn, that was the first colour TV we had. Otherwise we had black and white. And the VHF telly, because you could watch TV from Ireland. I used to watch RT1, the one and only, and BBC and ITV. So we were lucky to have 3 channels, no less, back in the day, back in the mid to late 60s when I was a small child. But that's about it. Thanks for everybody for bringing me in, and we might see it on. Yes, very risky. Well, I know what it is to be, because my old man was an immigrant into London. He was from Ireland. Well, when Ireland was part of the UK, he was in the Guards, and my old girl was from Derby. She worked on the railway, so that's where the family came from. We ended up in London, and my old man wasn't deported to Wales when the war was on. He used to sit on the outside toilet roof and watch the bombers go over. So yeah. So we ended up in Wales. Fantastic. If they wanted to emigrate, why didn't they go to Australia or somewhere? Even Canada. But there you are. What can I say? I'll just read the what's going. Get rid of. You can get rid of NVIDIA Broadcast. Yeah, but it does great job of noise reduction on the video. And as I think Leon said, it's going to rob your encoder. Although, I don't know about these encoders, but, good encoders would have a noise reduction system anyway, but certainly the less noise, the better. Less noise and clutter, the better. That's another dig at OBS. But anyway, 3 inputs is enough. From GW7, BZY, back to the group with a test card. If I can find it.
Okay, Peter. Too many buttons. I had a laugh at Dave's comment about any colour sheep in Wales is dangerous. Anyway, good net today. Want to thank everyone for coming up, and I hope the quality is okay there, Stuart, and that we're going to see you on in due course, and be nice to have more phases on. Yeah, this is a bit of colour at the back just to give a bit of fun. Otherwise it is a bit grey and dull, but I don't think I'll always have it. I'll change it. I'll get my sister to bring me different little wallpapers or whatever you call these things, curtains, and we can play with that. Anyway, it's good, and I hope the quality is okay from this side. And with that, I'm going to close the net, throw the ball in the sky or in the air. Wish everyone a very happy week. Thanks for coming up. Always interesting. And we have we had 31 viewers on YouTube. And so that's not bad. And who knows how many on DATV itself. And yes, indeed, Mike Zero DQW, I think it was, gave a nice talk about Tom's work. And He's due to come on very shortly. It was about 3 o'clock this morning or 2 o'clock this morning. I saw he had posted something about the work that Tom, ZR6TJ, has been doing. So, all good. Right, gentlemen and lady listening, that's ZS6 Yankee Lima, Young Lady Bravo, that's Brenda. We wish you all a very happy week. Thanks for coming up. And this is ZS6YI from near Johannesburg, now going clear and opening the net up to normal general traffic. Cheers, guys.